Alright, today we're working on a Craftsman riding mower deck for a T2300 riding mower. I got new blades, new spindles, and a new belt. The spindles came with new pulleys for the top. So we need to get this apart. First we're going to take the pulleys off the top so we can get the bolts out for the spindles. Now I'm going to attempt to hold this. Have to release the brake. I think these are rusted on there. There we go. This pulley has wear. These are grooved around the inside. They have splines so that they don't spin on there. And if they don't get tightened down correctly, if they ever get taken off, then you'll have problems. And that's starting to get stripped already. That's why it's good that the new spindles come with new pulleys. Yeah, these were not put back together right at some time. Because they should slide right off. Now these spindles have 4 bolts. Some of the older Craftsmans, a lot of them had 3 bolts for a long time. So if you're ordering parts, you want to make sure that you look at what you have. Because when I looked up the parts for this, I was seeing a lot that only had three bolts, and I knew these were 4. This is to keep the belt on the pulley. That has to go back right where it was. Now, move the brake out of the way. Probably need an extension. Yes. And this is probably not enough. There we go. That one's ready to come out. Let's see if I can get these bolts out of the other one. Now this one is completely broken out, so it might be a little difficult getting the bottom pieces off. Yes. I know, that's cheating. That one's putting up a good fight. we are missing a bolt. And there we go. Broke the bolt right off. That's okay. So here we have new spindles. They come with new bolts. And these fit in from the bottom. So we can put in 2 bolts a while. And we'll get the belt guide for the other ones. Now we get the belt guide for the left side here. I'm going to save those bolts because they're always nice to have. Now on these spindles, the holes are threaded already. On the older ones, sometimes the holes were not threaded, but they had self-threading bolts. So they would go in a little bit hard, but they were made to be that way. Now we can sit this down. I'm going to get a smaller gun to tighten these up. I don't want to break them off. So this is just a 3/8 impact gun. I don't want to break the bolts, and this will make it plenty tight enough. So we're going to hold this up to make sure it's seated right. And the same thing over here. Make sure it's up there square against the bottom of the deck. And if it's not sitting square, you could possibly break off an ear. Then you need to buy a new spindle all over again. This little spring here is to help disengage the deck when you release it. And since I took the pulley out of the way, it fell off. It goes right on there. On the older ones, they had a different mechanism in the center, and the spring actually went up here. Now, the reason I put the washer on the bottom is so that when we tighten that down, we're squeezing the pulley against the top of the bearing and not the housing. Otherwise, it's not going to want to turn. Since these have grease fittings in the top, it would be a good idea to use a deep socket. But I'm going to make do with the one I have. I'm just not putting it on the gun all the way. Those pulleys turn nice and easy and quiet, so we shouldn't have an issue with those making any noise. So we got 2 new blades, and the spindles come with the 2 bolts that go in the bottom. All right, now this is going to look easy because it's upside down. There's a star pattern on these, and there's the same pattern on the bottom of the spindle. They need to fit on nice and flat like that. And you put your bolts in. Now, when you're putting these blades on, a lot of times people somehow get them upside down. The part with the wing, the part that kicks up the grass after it's cut, faces the deck. So if you're laying under your mower, the blades go on like that. But the deck's upside down, so it goes on like that. And they're very precise. You have to make sure that they're on there nice and flat, that all those star teeth are engaged. It's a little bit harder to do when you're laying on your back and you start the screw and you run it up there and tighten it up. You really need to hold the blade up against the spindle when you tighten the bolt. Make sure that it's engaged correctly. So on this particular one, the blade looks okay as far as the star pattern. But the spindle turns okay. It does have play like this after you take the pulley off. But the teeth are all wore down because when it was put back together, They didn't have the teeth engaged. They tightened it down, and the blade started to spin. And maybe they went and they tightened up the bolt some more, and then it was done for. So even though this one's nice and quiet, it still needs to be replaced because the teeth are wore out. And I'll flip this over one more time. And we'll put the new belt on it. So this is the new belt that I ordered. They came in a pair, so I'll have a spare for the next one I do. There's an actual diagram here on the front of the deck. Sometimes it's under the floorboard. If you look up under the floorboard, sometimes the older ones had it there. So this goes around the back. Starting to wonder if these pulleys are not too small, because they're not anywhere close to the belt guides. Around here. And that's how the belt goes up to the engine. And when you engage it, it goes over like that and tightens up. And that's it for this. This is ready to go onto the tractor once I have the tractor ready.